Hi, Fems. Happy Monday. I am so excited to hop in here today and kick off our week together. I am Violet Dial. I'm the founder of FemCity, and you are joining me for our Monday Motivation series. I always invite a guest that I think will inspire us and motivate us to have an amazing week. Today, my guest is Karem. She is actually one of our new global members. She has done a great job leading a couple of our group coaching sessions. I've gotten to know her through our virtual networking as well. She's just been so amazing. And so many of our femmes, by the way, Karem, have raved about you. When, they've been doing like coffee connections with you, I guess, or virtual coffee chats. And you have had so much love in your direction. So thank you so much. I'm so excited that you're a part of the FemCity community and that you're joining us today as a guest.
Awesome. It's an honor to be here, really. It's so good to talk with you, and being part of this organization. FemCity has been amazing, like truly amazing. I sent you many love. I've sent you much love, but it's just I'm in gratitude for this platform.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know you're always sharing FemCity with love most. So I really appreciate that. It's the best compliment, right? When people share love for the work you do. So today we're going to talk a lot about clarity. It is our theme for the month of September. We are wrapping up September, and I think it's a great topic for us to have because it is such a heavy set of energy, I believe, out there. And with all the pivoting that we've had to do, clarity is a great conversation to have as we kind of close out the month. Before we get started, could you share a little bit about yourself? For those that have never met you before and are seeing you now for the first time, share a little bit about what makes you an expert in the work that you do, and then we can dive into clarity.
So my name is Karem Zafra-Vera, and my business is Next Level Consulting. My background comes from mediation, conflict resolution. So I've always had a heart and a passion to help people, to resolve, to bring solutions, to empower them. And that was my passion at one point in my life. And I think life takes us in amazing journeys, and then we discover more about ourselves. And for me, that was what happened. I went through a journey with my father, with just things in life that literally took me and allowed me to embrace a new something within me that was seeking that desire. So I really dived into personal development even more, because I've done personal development for about 11, 12 years. It changed my life when it was introduced to me, and so it was something that is very passionate with me. And in that process, I really asked for guidance, and I believe that this is part of what this theme is about: clarity, right? Having clarity in what it is that you want for yourself. And for me, I was very determined I didn't just want to open another business. I didn't just want to do something else. I wanted to be really focused and really allow to know what my purpose is. And I dived into personal growth even deeper than I had in the past. And it just, when you step into something, when you don't know what you're stepping into, but you're being open and you're allowing for that allowance to come in, I think it's when the universe really starts to connect with us. And it led me that certain actions that I took by allowing myself to be open led me to, my mentor, my coach, which is Bob Proctor. It led me to really connecting and not figuring out, but almost, it was like, I swear to you, it was like the fat lady singing to me, like, this is what you need to be doing, right? And it brought both worlds. It brought me helping people, because I've gone through my own transitions. It allowed me to help people, and it allowed me to stay in what I love to do: steady personal growth, and get to know myself even more, understand people even better. So it was like a perfect click. And that's when I really entered and stepped into the coaching field. And that's what I'm passionate about. I love, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding.
Yeah. And that's what I have to say. A lot of our femmes that have worked with you already or gotten to know you have actually shared so much praise for your assistance and their evolution, which is what we're all a part of, right? I think most of us, our intention is to help people evolve into being where they should be, with their alignment, with their purpose, with their intention of life. We talked a little bit about clarity at the beginning, and I wanted to ask you, what does clarity mean to you? And it could be either in business or in personal, since we're actually now talking a little bit about personal development. What does clarity mean?
So clarity for me, at first I thought it was something that, having a goal, it was interesting, our perspective and how we grow in it. At first I thought it was, okay, knowing that this is my goal. But clarity, I think it's more of an internal, profound emotion. It's having that sense of calmness and peace that what you're doing is towards what you want. It is moving you towards your goal. So clarity for me is, especially through this season, I've had a lot of peace, Violet. I've had a lot of calmness. I've had a lot of ideas that have come through, and I'm motivated to share because I have that sense of confidence within me, because I have the peace. But it doesn't come just because you're seeking for it. It comes because you're doing something towards that to help you become a better person of you. And so it's about, what are you feeding your mind continuously to empower you to bring that strength? Because just like faith, it's not something that you can turn on a switch and boom, it's there. It's what you do that creates that faith within yourself, that faith that things will work out, that things will do, because you're moving towards it. And so for me, that's what clarity means. And it brings it to me not only in my business, but in my personal life. Because I've gone through enough obstacles, and it's come to a point where you're like, you know what? This is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I cannot do more than what I'm doing right now, and it is okay to be there. Yeah. So that's what the clarity is for me.
I love that. And what was there a moment in your business where, or maybe in your personal life, that you lost clarity, and then you were able to kind of get back to that place? Like, what was that? What was happening, and how did you transition out of that?
And I think, I was thinking about that, and I think it's more of, for me, it was a transition aspect, right? Because I was a mediator, and I still am, but I don't practice it. But I was a mediator for 18 years. Transitioning into owning this idea of a coach was a slippery, right? It was that sense of insecurity, and you lacked clarity in that process, especially when I was in the mediation field towards the end, and I knew that wasn't my calling anymore, and there was something, and I was unclear about what that was. So for me, that was, and it leads back to personal growth. It leads back to asking the questions that we don't ask ourselves, because we're not accustomed to asking ourselves deep questions that our intuition will always speak truth to us, but we're not used to listening, And so for me, it was like asking questions like, if everything is possible, what is it that I want? If everything is possible, what do I want to feel? And I think that when we ask ourselves those questions, they're such deep and big questions, we almost get scared of it. But that's just to show us that we are not using our imagination. We're not tapping into what we really can do, because we're afraid automatically just by asking the question. So that for me was the process that led me to, really having more clarity of, who do I want to serve? What do I want to do? And in what level do I want to do it?
Absolutely. And if you're joining us live, feel free to add comments or ask questions. We're going to run for about another 15, 18 minutes. So if you do have some questions, or if you want to go ahead and add to the conversation, feel free to do so. I love that you mentioned the pivot, and also kind of like you were very successful in a certain career or a certain theme, and then realizing there was something more, or something greater that was connected to your soul. So many women go through that, and then they feel like there's something wrong with them, like something's going on, like do in my life, but I know this isn't it anymore. And so even when you start sharing that with others around you, they think you're crazy, because you're like, no, this doesn't work anymore. Like we have a lot of members that were like teachers for 30 years, and then now they realize they love making jewelry, and so they kind of want to step into that place. So I think that what you shared right now will apply and resonate with so many women that are listening, that have also felt like a disconnect from what they were doing, and almost a pull and a drive to do something more that's connected to where they want to be next. What are some things that you would recommend for femmes that are listening and watching and perhaps going through that? So maybe they are a little bit upside down, whether it's through the pandemic or its natural course would have taken them off what they were doing, and they're kind of finding themselves in that state of, I don't know what to do, what is next? I'm kind of lost a little bit. What are some tips that you would share with those that are really struggling to find the clarity, whether it's in their purpose and their alignment to what they want to create in the future, whether it's a business or a side hustle project, or maybe it's even through philanthropy? What would you recommend to them in order to find that clarity so they can get connected and move forward in a stronger way?
So it was interesting you were just saying in regards to that pivot, that transition. I think that we need to see, we're so used to serving others. We're so used to being focused on everybody else's needs. But I really believe that within ourselves, there is always something seeking for an expression. And that's what I felt when I was transitioning. Okay, I was in the mediation business, and at one point, this was my passion. It was a combination of law and psychology, and I loved it. And I was serving, and I was helping, and I was a guardian ad litem. I mean, I was my thing, and it was good. But I couldn't ignore the fact that there was something within me that wanted to do more, and it continued. And I acknowledged it, and I would see it. And I think we all compare ourselves to so many different women. Like, oh my gosh, how is it that they open up a business just like that, and boom, they're doing well? And how, I used to say to myself, oh my gosh, I'm not creative. Like, this is what I'm doing, right? And also the fear that because we're in a field for so many years, that how can we change now? Because that's an old idea, right? That we're used to seeing our parents and our aunt and our grandparents be in a field for one. They chose one field and they were there for the rest of their lives. And nowadays, it doesn't have to be like this, and it doesn't have to be like that ever, right? But we just take in everything from our past. And what we don't recognize is that we don't have to take it in. We can ask if it serves us. And if it doesn't serve us, then change it. If you're not living your passion, then change it, because you're meant to be living your passion. You're meant to be doing something that you want to do, not just to meet our everyday responsibilities. Right. And so that is a sense of, like, open yourself up to acknowledge what is that is seeking. And the moment you ask yourself, you can't lie to yourself. You can ignore yourself. You can deny yourself, but you can't not know the truth. And so you have to ask yourself that question, like, what is it that I really want to do? What am I good at? And if I allow myself to step into this platform, how is that going to serve me and serve others? Because at the end, we have joy and we are fulfilled is by what we give others. How are we serving others? And I think that's the best part of my business, is that when I have a client that tells me, oh my God, this, and this, or I just did this, it's the most fulfilling part, because it's not about what we say. And Violet, you can, it's not about what we say. It's about seeing them step into their truth. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part. That's the most rewarding part. And so no matter what you're doing, if you're doing something that is passionate for you, it's going to create an abundance in your life, in every area of your life. So right. I was
going to say, you have some love coming in from Patricia Ruiz. She says, definitely try new things, a change in business, project, etc., but focus on ourselves and believe we can always do more. Awesome, Karem. And I think also what Patricia is saying right now, sometimes it's just about tweaking. I know a femme who started a business, and she kind of lost her way and wasn't in love with it anymore, but she was able to tweak it in a way that actually served her purpose. It almost like it edited her alignment, and then she found joy in that. So sometimes it's not a matter of scratching everything and saying, forget it. Sometimes it's just a matter of seeing what you're doing and how do you add more joy and love in the work that you're doing by these small tweaks, because then that love and that connection happens. And people, I think, feel that too. When you're really happy with the work that you're doing and you're focusing on the purpose and the service, they feel that you really value them. Karem, you made me laugh a little bit, because one of my Pilates instructors from last week, she was saying that she loves seeing how much more we progress when it comes to Pilates every week. All the apparatuses and the things that we're doing. And it made me realize, what you were saying is that it's not the joy that we find in our instruction. It's the joy in the results that we see in others because of our alignment, because of the service we feel pulled to do. And I think that all of us can do businesses that are soulfully done, that make a difference in this world, for sure.
Violet, I want to add that you said in regards to the tweaking, that tweaking is bringing focus to our clarity of what we want.
Yes.
So tweaking is not something bad. We should be tweaking and focusing that vision, that goal, that, you know, it's like when you're looking into a camera, right? And you see certain parts that is pretty focused and the other ones are still blurry. And so what do? You work on it until you see it focused. And that tweaking is our focus. And so it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's not something that is holding us back at all. If anything, it is moving us forward. And so it's just a perspective of how we see things. We tend to, you know, look down towards the obstacles that we face when actually those obstacles is what's teaching us. And because of that contrast, then we can see what we want. If we didn't have the contrast, we would not know what we want. And so changing our perspective, our perception of how we see things can create so much joy and peace and calmness into our lives.
I love that. Every single time I have, and I'm going to put them in quotes and air quotes, my other hand is over here. Every time I've ever failed, it has always served me so much better. Not in that moment, right? In that moment, I'm downtrodden, I'm like on the bottom, hit rock bottom. It's always been like years later where I'm like, oh, yes, that's why that happened, because I now have that journey to then share with others to inspire them to keep on going, or because now I know that, you know, I'm going to be okay no matter how rock bottom I hit. I've been able to recreate it again. So all those moments that we go through, they've always been blessings, even though I didn't see it at that moment or at that time. It was very painful and very dark. I've always seen it. So I love that you shared that, because if you are going through that right now and you're feeling like you can't figure out how the story is going to end, believe in yourself. And sometimes all of that really does help to define that purpose that you have in the next couple of tweaks or edits or creations.
It's focusing on that design, on what we want to feel, because if we have a little bit of understanding of how the universe works, we know it's our emotions, it's our energy and our vibration. So we focus a little bit more, and as we're going through those dark moments, because we all go through them, we have to become if we can just become a little bit more aware of asking, well, you know, obviously this is a season that is going to show me and teach me something, and I may not see it right now, but it is, and I will see it, you know. And that gives you a sense of like, okay, you know, I'm not alone, I'm going through this, but I will surpass this. And so it's just a little bit of, again, our perception and asking ourselves that questions, like, what's the good in this? Because everything has good and bad. It's what we choose to focus on.
Yeah. I go back to, so many years ago, we did a FemCity retreat in Bali. It was beautiful, very spiritual. It was amazing. And all of their trees are wrapped in this black and white checkered pattern that you normally would associate with like an Italian restaurant in like New York or New Jersey, you know, like red and white, but this was black and white. And every tree was adorned with it. It was really interesting. And after a while, I was like, I asked our tour guide, I said, you know, what's up with all the adorning of these trees, the majestic trees in black and white checkered print? And he said it's part of their culture to understand that they both go hand in hand. So the bad and the good, or the dark and the light, and that in order to have one, you must have the other. And then they just really embrace that. And I thought that was such a beautiful representation of just versus now, like everything bad is bad, and it is bad. It feels bad. It's horrible. But sometimes if we can view it in another light and view it as part of our journey, then when it happens, we're like, oh, of course that happened. You know, that's just the balance. And one of my friends who's a shaman would always tell me, as I got more and more hate email, the more successful I became, I started getting like more and more hate. And she said, Violet, that's part of it. So the more that you elevate and the more that you become more vocal and seen more, the more that will also happen, because it's the balance that happens in life, and that changed it. So now when I get those messages that are not so friendly, I receive them with more love than I did in the past, because I understand now it's part of the evolution of the journey of where we're going. Everyone goes through it.
I love that you said that. I listened to something this past weekend, and it says, you don't know that you're the light unless you've been in the darkness and you can see. Beautiful thing is that in order for us to be the light or acknowledge that we are the light, we have to at some point go through the darkness, you know. And so it was just so aligned with what you said, because it is, you know.
Love it.
Yeah.
This was an amazing conversation. We hope that it has inspired you.
Oh my gosh.
To kick off the week, ladies. Have a great week. Karem, how can femmes find you if they want to continue the conversation with you directly?
So my email, leapandbelieve@gmail.com. That's my email. I don't know if you want me to give my phone number.
No, don't give your phone number. Just like a website, or I mean, you're on our FemCity website, so that's also a good way.
I have a private Facebook group on called Leap Next Level Community. Next Level Community. So I'm constantly, sharing there all the possible things I can share. And I am starting a new coaching group on October 1st. So, I'm open to receiving as many people as are willing to make that change and that transition in their lives. I'm here. So I appreciate you, Violet, for having me here and having this platform and this group of amazing women surrounding us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. All right, we are out of here. We will be back. If you want to find out more about FemCity, we invite you to join for free for 30 days. Try it out. Give it a spin. We will be back next Monday. Actually, we'll be back on Wednesday for our podcast. But for Monday Motivation, we'll be back next Monday as well. Karem, I'm sending you so much love and gratitude. Thank you for doing the work that you do. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.